Internet, what's up? This is Raj from TechGuysSmartBuy.com, and today we're talking about, man, this was such a joy to use, the Sony A7S III. So this is their latest and greatest 4K full-frame mirrorless shooter. Sony hooked us up about 2 weeks with it. Came with the f2.8 16-35 G Master lens. So we're going to talk about our time with it and why it's pretty much the best 4K shooter you can buy. Let's get into it. So you want to talk about the hardware. You have magnesium alloy body that is both dust and moisture resistant. More importantly, as a graphite heat sink built in to the image stabilization unit that dissipates heat quickly so you won't run into any overheating issues. So you have the lovely 3-inch flip out LCD touchscreen that takes full advantage of their entirely new menu system, which is a godsend. Not to say that the menu system currently prior to this was definitely a bit tedious. Took you a lot just to get to different things, folders, this and that. And then the fact that it flips out to the side. So if you're a vlogger and you want that high quality content, or if you just want to, set your shot and use that as well. So unlike Canon, Sony decided not to step into the 8K arena and double down to perfect and add versatility to 4K. So in doing so, the A7S III definitely lives up to the hype. You got 15 stops of dynamic range to achieve crispy and detailed images, all without sacrificing shadows, highlights, overall details. They even beefed up their color signs here, so you get more natural skin tones and more accurate colors. Since this is their Sony camera, you have their real-time eye autofocus as well as their regular hybrid and phase detection autofocus. So you have up to 759 AF points. This feature here works just as well, if not better than advertised. So along with all that, you've got different formats to shoot in, from XAVC SIHD all the way to XAVC HS 4K, all ranging in more quality and more megabits per second. Of course, you can get that beautiful detail-rich 10-bit 4.2.2 4K and go up to 60 frames per second, or as slow as 120 frames per second in 4K. But that will definitely eat up your SD card or Type A card. With data rates going up to 1200 megabytes per second. The A7S line is more so a dedicated video shooter, but you can get some good photos out of it. It looks really good, but if you zoom in too much, you'll see where it breaks down. You'll see a bit of the flaws. Inside, you have Sony's 5-axis image stabilization to keep your footage as steady as it can. This utilizes both in-body and electronic stabilization to pull this off. Although you get a small 1x crop, it's really small, but it's definitely noticeable if you're trying to do different things. So you can pull off panning, handheld shooting, and different stuff. So beyond that, you're definitely going to need a gimbal. So if you want to get like super smooth walking shots and different stuff, like you're not going to get that here. There's very few cameras that can definitely pull that off, but just something worth noting. But the upside here is that because of what the improvements they've done to the stabilization, you don't have to worry about rolling shutter. So if you don't know what rolling shutter is that wobbly image if you shake the camera from left to right real quick that Sony used to be notorious for. Talks about 4K at 120 frames per second. You can also pull off 1080p at 240 frames per second as well. The big treat here is their new slow and quick motion mode that records in both 60 frames per second and 120 frames per second with 24 frames per second playback, unfortunately with no audio. But a lot of times if you're doing speed ramps or slow motion, different things, you either have background music or you're talking over it anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. A7S III is still the low light king. Its dual native ISO can go from 40, 80 for video, all the way up to 409,600, which is nuts. Of course, you're not gonna go that high because your image is gonna look like crap. but you can go up to about 102,400 before the image gets completely unusable. Sweet spot for me in little to no light has been around 51,200, which is way higher than most shooters. Last but not least, battery life. Sony's using the latest NPFC 100 batteries. So you get anywhere between an hour and a half of shooting continuously as far as videos. So the A7S III made me immediately want to upgrade my A6300, which I'm shooting on now, and also throw out my mid-2015 15-inch MacBook Pro as well in regards to handling the editing and different stuff. Of course, you gotta have the funds. The body alone costs $3,500. If you want the G Master I use, f2.8 1635, that's another about $2,000, not including tax. And then if you wanna take a full advantage of it, you're gonna have to buy a Type A card, which is about another $400 for the 160 gig. So if you can afford it, it's definitely worth it. But if you want something like that, but you don't want to spend that kind of money, we definitely recommend you to buy the A7 III. Right now, you can get it for about, I think like $2,000 with a pretty good kit lens. Currently on sale. I think it retails for $2,000 with the body by itself. We actually shot all the B-roll for this video, and then we shot about 90% of the Sony WH-1000XM4's video as well. So if you have any other questions, make sure to leave them in the comments below. We'll have affiliated links to both cameras in the description below. Thanks for watching, because you could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with us. We appreciate you for doing so, and see you in the next video. Peace.